Welcome back, gamers, animators, and procrastinators to Procrastination, the nation of procrasti. Let's start off the show with a pop quiz. Who would win in a fight? A bear or a sleep-deprived teenage girl? Trick question, it's the teenage girl, because bears don't have thumbs. Ha! Losers, don't even have thumbs. But yeah, if they did, this story probably would have turned out a bit different. So this particular story happened pretty recently. My family was in the middle of a big move overseas, and we decided to stay with our grandparents during the transition phase. And now to set the scene. My grandparents live in the mountains of Colorado, essentially in the middle of nowhere. There are a couple of houses dotted around nearby, but you're more likely to see a deer, a turkey, or a coyote than you are another human being. Now, my grandparents' house is kind of on the small side. You could describe it as a cozy little cottage, one that was built for the two of them, plus their dogs and cats. What it was not built for, however, was them, plus their dogs and cats, plus 4 extra people, plus our dog and cat, plus all the luggage we brought with us for the summer. So because of the cramped quarters, I decided to sleep out in my grandparents' mini camper because I desperately needed some solitude. Okay, now we can get on to the actual story. We arrived at my grandparents' house after 72 hours of driving across the US, and we were all exhausted. I, however, was exhausted and extremely sick. Now, this was a strange phenomenon for me. I spent a huge portion of my childhood in the mountains, and never had I ever gotten altitude sickness. For the first couple of days, I had a pounding headache and wasn't able to eat or drink anything without immediately throwing it back up. Now, this would not have been as bad if it wasn't keeping me from sleeping. Now, here's a fun little tidbit about me. I absolutely love sleeping. I am a huge advocate for getting a healthy, full night of rest, and I normally sleep like a rock. So when I don't or can't get enough sleep, I usually get pretty grumpy and I don't get much work done. I wasn't having a good time is what I'm trying to say. But after a couple days I got accustomed to the altitude and I wasn't sick anymore! Yay! Oh, good. That means you were able to finally get a full night of sleep, right? Yeah, that's what I thought too. But no! This is where the story starts to get a little weird. I spent the day happily hanging out with my family, eating lots of food, and generally having a chill time not being sick. And I went to bed that night thinking I would sleep like a wee babby. And so there I lay, in the cute little camper, all snugly in my blankets, slowly drifting off to sleep, when I began to hear slow, heavy footsteps coming from outside my window. Now, I had heard some deer hanging out in the driveway earlier that day, but these footsteps were far too slow and far too heavy. They sounded like human footsteps. Now, my first thought was, this is the perfect setup for a horror movie. We are out in the middle of nowhere, I am separated from my family, it's the middle of the night, and someone, probably a serial killer, is walking outside my window right now. My second, clearly sleep-deprived thought was, who out here has the friggin' audacity? Okay, so let it be known that if this were a horror movie, I'd be the first moron to die, because I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and stomped outside to figure out what was going on. Hey, wherever you are, hiding in the shadows, no doubt, yeah, I know you're there, you're not slick, knock it off! I'm freaking trying to sleep over here, and I don't need you or your serial killer shenanigans keeping me up. If you're gonna kill me, quit being around the bush. I'm going back to bed. Good day, sir. After searching for a few minutes, I could not find any evidence as to who or what could be making all the noise. No people, no animals, just pitch darkness. So I returned to the trailer to try and sleep again, thinking it must be my sleep-deprived brain just making stuff up. When as you probably guessed, I did not sleep a wink, and when morning came around, I told my family about what had happened. I asked if anyone had been walking around the garage or the trailer last night, but everyone had been asleep and the dogs were in the house the entire night. Neither of my grandparents, mind you, who are both hunters, could find any tracks in the gravel where I was hearing the sounds. I was confused and concerned. I continued hearing the footsteps for the next couple of nights, and the mysterious figure was promptly named Mr. Phantom Footsteps. I would come into the house every morning for breakfast looking like death, and would be asked, "Mr. Phantom Footsteps?" Mr. Phantom Footsteps. This went on for about a week before my lack of sleep finally caught up to me. I was really freaking tired, folks, and when I finally crashed, I crashed, man. I was totally out of it. And it was at this moment, the moment when I finally got some sleep, that Mr. Phantom Footsteps finally came out of the shadows and revealed himself, and decided to have a bear rave. Now, everything from this point is secondhand information, because I know you read the title of this video. I was freaking asleep. But my sources tell me that what was happening was probably one of the loudest sounds on Earth. The bear was knocking over trash cans and rummaging through them, making a huge racket. This aroused the dogs, who went absolutely wild at seeing the bear and began barking their heads off. This, in turn, woke up my entire family. "Who goes there? Hey, you! Get away from there!" "Quit stealing our hard-earned trash, you no-good vagabond!" "Yeah, that's what I thought. You better think twice before stealing from us, you furry delinquent." Good morning, everyone. I finally got a good night of sleep. I feel great. How about you? Oh. Mr. Phantom Footsteps. Mr. Phantom Footsteps. My family explained to me what had happened the night before, and I was like, wait. Are you telling me I fought off a bear by doing absolutely nothing? Well, no, I'm the next All Might, baby! So yeah, it turns out Mr. Phantom Footsteps was a bear. After that night, my dad and my grandpa boarded up the gate to the trash cans. We didn't have any more bear raids after that, and I stopped hearing footsteps from outside my window, which was definitely a relief. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. A couple weeks after the bear raid, my family was out shopping when I spotted a t-shirt that had some dude and a bear having a boxing match. It's beautiful. And so I bought it to remind myself of the time I fought off a bear by sleeping and letting other people deal with it.